Hi there, and welcome to our presentation on the evolution of AI in Business Central, specifically focusing in on Agentic AI, which is the new buzzword. My name is Duncan Kerr. I'm the Business Central pre-sales architect here at Infinity Group. And it'll be my pleasure to just run through some initial slides and then a live demo of some of the AI and sales order agent capabilities within Business Central. By way of the agenda today, we're going to cover off an overview of Business Central very quickly, for those of you that are not familiar with it, very quickly, and also the AI capabilities, Copilot capabilities that are embedded within Business Central already. We'll have a look at a couple of those just because they lead on to the discussion around what Copilot actually is. But then the main part of this presentation and webinar will cover off what we call sales agents and how they might be deployed. They're now available from April in terms of a preview. So it's going to be a public preview for those people that have got Business Central. They'll be able to set them up in Sandbox and see how relevant they are to their business. But it's extremely exciting. This is the first pass of any form of agent within Business Central. The opportunities are endless, and we'll talk about that towards the end with the future of agents. If we just move on, just to confirm, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, trusted by over 40,000 businesses now globally, and covers a whole range of traditional business, ERP, enterprise resource planning, functionality, so financial management, project management, sales, manufacturing, service, and supply chain. So if you need to see more about that, there's plenty of videos, both from myself and Microsoft, available, and you can see the details around what the capability is there. But this is very much a traditional slide that talks about functionality, and we're going to talk about how that's going to change rapidly over the next couple of years. So Business Central does not sit in and on it of itself as a solution. It sits within the Microsoft stack, and as we can see here, one of the benefits of going to Business Central is to leverage the whole of the Microsoft capability in the ecosystem. You are probably using Microsoft 365. That gives you a whole range of different functionality, from the traditional Excel, Word, Outlook, but also Teams for collaboration, SharePoint for document management, Loop for actual collaboration across lots of different documents. We're starting to see that really come to the fore. But also things like low code, no code, so the Power Platform that allows rapid development and addressing things. And as I said, there's other videos I've done in relation to how that can be useful. Business Central sits in that context. It sits on Microsoft Azure, the largest cloud platform from Microsoft, with all of the security, the backups, compliance, identity management that's built within Azure, and all of the capabilities that's there. But around all of this is Copilot, and Microsoft have decided to call everything pretty much a Copilot. So we hear about Copilot in Excel, Copilot in Outlook, Copilot in Business Central. Ultimately, all it is the use of the large language models, LLMs, and the AI capabilities that have been around for a little while, a couple of years, and seeing how they're now deployed within each application. We'll be focusing in on Copilot within Business Central today, and as I said, then on to agents. I'm conscious of time and we want to keep a sort of fairly fast-moving piece here. Obviously, you can get in touch with us at any point if you need to explore any of these. This is the capability overview from Microsoft in terms of Business Central itself. So we can see some of the key functions that are in there, but we also can start seeing those icons for Copilot and where that's actually embedded into Business Central. So we can see marketing text suggestions, we can see bank account reconciliations, cash flow forecasting, and so forth. I'm not going to demonstrate all of those because there's a lot of information around, and some of these have been around for a while, but I'll pick out a couple of those just in terms of a demo in a second. But ultimately, we're starting to see this ability for Copilot to be rolled out in so many different ways within Business Central. And for instance, in ways wave 1 2025, we're starting to see Copilot provide field assists where we can actually key some information in, and it will use AI to actually suggest population of other fields within the platform. So again, it's adding the benefits of bringing efficiencies and actually taking away a lot of the mundane and boring tasks, and actually allowing you to focus in on the other things. So rather than worrying about what address that organization has, we can go in and worry more about what credit limit to assign them, what risk profile we've got, is it set up for the correct analysis, so that we can get rich information via dimensions. So a whole load more opportunities there. But this is a webinar and we want to actually do some demonstration of elements here. So in terms of what's actually within Business Central, we've got two kind of splits initially, and this is what's released to market. So this is available 2024 Wave 2. It's if you install a production environment of Business Central, this is what you're going to have available to you, either released or in public preview for you to review. So we've got things like smart number series. Number series are critical across the board for setting up to make sure that you understand that that's your sales invoice document number, purchase invoice document number, purchase order number, those sorts of things. Assistance there. E-invoicing is coming. It's very much a European focus, but the UK will be picking up on that and that ability to process it. We'll talk more about e-invoices later when we talk about the payables agent. We've got item substitutions, this ability for the system to suggest what might be an appropriate substitution. You might look at a particular product and have an idea of exactly what substitutions might be there. But you can also ask the system to do that. We've got suggest item lines. We've got that capability to actually go, well, okay, I just want to type in what the customer's asking me for, copy and paste that in, get the system to suggest what that might look like. And I'm going to demonstrate that in a second. Marketing suggestions. If you don't have a marketing team, or even if you do and you want to use that as a starting point, it will generate some marketing text based on the attributes you've assigned there. Bank reconciliations, I think, is a really good feature there. It's a very mundane manual task. You know, I go way back as an accountant when I was 17, insurance company back in a long time ago, red pen, ticking both sides of two ledgers to reconcile the transactions. Well, that's just a manual process of recognition. So AI Copilot in this case is really, really useful. We've got analysis views, we'll have a look at that, and also chat. And chat kind of leads us onto this idea of agents as well, I think. The other thing is we have AI features, and I've separated those out because these are more traditional ones. They've been around for a little bit longer, but these use more of your data to actually then apply AI models to try and do some forecasting, prediction, and analysis. So this isn't quite the Copilot where it's actually supporting you and adding to you. It's using machine learning to say, right, okay, based on your history and everything else I know, I can start looking at sales and inventory forecasting. I can look at a potential late payment, or I can actually start looking at what your cash flow might look like. These are much harder to actually demonstrate because you need the high volumes of data, but are there for you to explore. Once you're live, you've got a couple of years of data under there, then you can absolutely start exploring those as well. So a couple of things just to show you some very quick stuff around sales orders. So sales order line suggestions. So I'm just going to go into a new line. I'm going to create a new sales order. I choose a customer. I'm just going to go with the datum, and then down here we've got the ability to use Copilot where we can actually suggest sales lines or suggest them from files. So if someone sent you an email in and you just want to actually get them to suggest it, in this case I'm going to type it, so just want to actually ask it. I want 5 chairs and 2 tables. Okay, click generate. It's going to go through and have a look at the different options and see what it brings back. So again, the more details that you can put, so maybe I should have put red, you know, you've got the ability to look at different desks and stuff like that. The more details you put, the more accurate that's going to be. But very simply, it's done that. It's got 5 and 2, insert. So you can imagine you could do that again if I had gone to here and actually from file, it opens that up and allows me to drag a file or a document in there. So, or I could have copy and pasted from an email, maybe that's been sent in. And then that just follows all the same sales order processing that you would anticipate. So that's the sales suggests sales items. Next one, just really quickly, is going into bank account reconciliations here. And here we've got one that exists, and this is a really simple example, but I use this because it's quite clean. For those of you that have ever done a bank rec, you can see that there's a deposit to an account of 7,000. Now, because we're human and we can do these sorts of things, we can see that those two probably add up to the same as that. But you can imagine that you have a scenario where you've got one record here that is a deposit, and then you've got many, many records that need to be added up. And we know we sit there with a calculator and we keep typing the combinations, trying to work out which ones reconcile back to it. Well, I can now just go to this and I can say, right, please reconcile this. It's going off. It's actually going through those, trying to work that out. And it says, right, I found this. It's a match proposal. And I can see that this value on the left-hand side is matching multiple entries. These are the two entries that we've got. Do you wish to actually accept that and keep that? And that will then actually treat those as matched. It's auto matched the first ones on a one-to-one basis. They're there, and it's not matched those because of the differences in dates and stuff like that. So again, that ability to use this auto reconciliation capability. Now, it goes without saying, you're going to import your bank recs. Maybe you use Yavrio, which is a banking integration software we recommend, and you have that, but you've now got this Copilot helping you do something that's a very mundane task. So you can then look at those anomalies that aren't matching and just focusing your time in on those. Final bit is just to really go into the general ledger. So we have a quick look at sales of finished goods, and we've got department code and customer group code. We've had an analysis feature here where we can actually go in and create pivot tables, but sometimes that's difficult for users that aren't necessarily financially minded. They don't know which way to actually select which fields or whatever. So we now have the ability to actually go to analyze list, and we can actually ask it. So I want monthly balances by customer group. So I can just click that. It's going to go off. It's absolutely analyzing things. It's going to add them up. It's going to do various things, and it's going to drop me into this analysis piece here. So I've got my individual groups, and then I can see the months going across the top and details there. And I can obviously, I've still got all of the elements there. I can see the columns as well, so I can see how it's built those. So I could have manually done that, but it was really quick to just ask that question to actually give the details, and I can obviously go in and see the absolute breakdowns of each of those. So the purpose of today is to talk about Agentic AI ultimately, but I just wanted to give you an overview flavour of where Copilot's already there and available. And of course, Copilot is there to assist you, but what agents do is actually take over your role and would actually like you to replace some of the more mundane tasks and work in the background independently. Copilot is specific to an individual. So I've just used Copilot to do my job and just for me, whereas we're going to look at agents, which actually focuses in on other people. So it's for the company rather than the individual. Just by way of looking at it, I see it in this way. So we talked about Web 2.0 many years ago, those of you that are old enough, where this was where actually content was being created rather than it just being static HTML pages that you could go and access, you were actually then interfacing with the web for social media, for creation of blogs, for all that sort of thing. Industry 4.0 is another term that's like this evolution of starting to use all the technology within industry. And I kind of see that with the way that Business Central in particular has evolved. So as I said to you before, Azure AI has been around for a while in terms of cash flow forecasting, sales and forecasting, sales and item forecasting, and also late payment predictors. Those things have been embedded there. And being available, but Copilot has completely and utterly transformed this. When this landed, we started off with the marketing text, which was kind of a little taster. Now we're seeing real use, worldwide use capabilities of Copilot to actually address your common working practices. But the next evolution is agents. So whilst Copilot will continue to be developed, I'm sure, and will have that ability to assist users, sales order agents is absolutely the first starting one for what will absolutely transform your experience of using business applications. The reason I say that is we've had massive evolution over the last 20 years. You start thinking about moving from client server on-premise technology to the cloud, and that was really interesting for those of us that work in the industry. But from a user's point of view, they don't really care. They still have the same client. They still go through, it might look more fresh. It might be browser based. It might be nice because they don't have to use a VPN to connect. But actually, that doesn't really change how they operate and interface with a business system, an ERP system. Agents is going to completely and utterly change that, because this is down to the end user. This is taking away things that are mundane for the client, for the end user. And that's the most important part. So what I'm able to do is just very quickly go into our presentation, and I'm going to just talk about a sales order agent initially. So, a couple of things. The first thing was to talk about this idea of chat. So we've got the chat, which is there. This is starting to see how large language models are things that are available. So I can ask questions of how do I release sales orders? What were my latest invoices? So already that's lending itself to the future of what Agentic AI might look like. So no longer do I necessarily need to have an interface like this or be able to go into search and know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a currency revaluation. I'm looking for bank reconciliations. I can start asking the system questions about my data, questions about how I do something. But the next phase of that is actually to come over here and look at sales order agent. So the sales order agent sits within Business Central, and it sits there looking and monitoring a mailbox. And here we have a shared mailbox, and so BC Sales is my shared mailbox. Now, if I come in and I actually just create an email, so I'm going to create an email from my work email, duncan.kerr@infinitygroup.co.uk. If you need to email me, you've got the details there. And I might send this to BC Sales at our demo environment. So, quote request. Dear sir, please can I have the desk, Paris, and 2 Athens desk, 4 Paris chairs, 1 lamp. Okay. So that's going to take a second. That's going to actually go into my inbox here, and this inbox is being monitored by this sales order agent. So after a little while, it's going to check on a regular basis that, and as soon as it sees something, it's going to try and understand what it's been asked for. It's going to go and have a look at my customer. So it's going to try and identify it. Now I've set up my customer. Here it is, Infinity Group. We go in and have a look at that. We can see the details here, but also we can see prices. And under prices, we can see some specific prices around those 3 products, which is why I chose them. So ultimately, we know that it can go off and get those details as well. So here we can see it's actually picked up my incoming email. So let's just see, let's just refresh that screen and go to my sales and inbox. So there's my quote request. You can see the details coming into my shared mailbox. Here it's actually reviewing incoming, and it says, right, okay, this is ready for processing. So let's review that, okay? And it's already gone off. It said, yeah, that's fine. It's looking for a quote, and I can confirm that. And that's going off, and it's now looking and saying, right, okay, I'm going to try and work out what's going on with this. So it says, a customer requests a quote for 2 Athens desks, 1 Paris chair, and 1 lamp. So that's fine. We'll let that work in the background, and we can see the details that are floating around, and we can have multiple of these. So it's already worked out that this is a new request rather than an existing request. We can process that through, and we can see the details coming once it's done there. So it says, right, okay, so I can review this details, and it says it's found the Amsterdam, and it's got that price. It's not, items not found. Unfortunately, couldn't find those. So again, this is always a great example of the details of AI. So that's fine. I can click I could actually decide later. I could interview, I could review it, I can carry on, I can confirm it. I can even discard or stop the task. So I've got control. It's not going to do anything automatically with this. So I can confirm that, and that will then automatically send that, and that's going out. And if I come back to my email in my inbox, accept that. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, and there's that ping that sounds like that. So we can now see my quote for that. So that's my email coming back there. So I can actually reply and say, that's fine. I will order 2 lamps, please. PO is DK1234. Okay. Okay, so we're starting to see this whole correspondence. I'm typing that as a customer, but actually within my organisation of Cronus, the system's already working as a sales order agent. So we start seeing that automation and that speed. And of course, this will be running in the background. You won't need to worry about it. And you can see, I was talking to a client recently who have a lot of repeat business for spares and parts and things like that. They're just generic. There's not really much need to actually get involved with that. Ultimately, we can use the sales order agent to actually automate a lot of that, where we can say, look up the customer, get the specific price. And one of the things to note on this, if I just go back into here, is it's found £34.50. Well, if I go into my item for my lamp and have a look at my Amsterdam lamp, I can see that the price down here is actually £35.60. But when I go in here, it's already found my sales prices, and there is the details of £34.50. So it recognised I've got a special price, and it actually applied that to the quote. So I've got this message here. I can review that. It says that's fine. Okay. And I can confirm that. Thank you very much. And that's now going to see whether it will work. And it will then go off and it will generate a quote. So we can go into sales quotes and see, here's one that it prepared earlier. And so it's actually just picked up that external document number there. You just see that actually, that was quite good because it recorded that. It's got 2 there. It's got the details. It's got the sales quote already. So it's actually filling it in. So it respects and actually fills in details. So I can review this. So it's saying, there we go. It's actually saying 2 changes, the quote there, and I can actually confirm that. So again, if you're finding that this is relevant, this is now sending out a quote to me. So that was a quote request, and it's now going to send a quote, a formal quote, which has been created here, and that will allow me, and then I can actually go back and place the order, and it'll convert that quote to a sales order. So if this is interesting, obviously get in touch and we can work through and set this up in a sandbox environment, and you can start playing with this to see how this works with your data, and we can actually run that through. So it's just checking, am I happy with this? Yes, that's fine. And I'm just going to confirm that, and that's my quote gone off. So so we've now processed all of that. So I'm conscious of time and the details there, but that was just a very brief overview of a preview version of the sales order sales agent. In terms of setup, it's extremely quick. It's a question of setting up a shared mailbox, providing the right permissions, and of course there are full permissions capabilities that an administrator can manage, so not everyone can use this. It will respect the capabilities you grant it in terms of what it can do, so you can absolutely lock it down. And also you set up the mailbox, set up a couple of other parameters, and then it's there roughly 5 to 10 minutes if the mailbox exists. That's all the time it takes to actually get up and start trialing that. And just to finalize, while I was talking there, I can bring I'll just leave that. Let's just open up my quote, and we can see a sales quote there. That actually just shows you here that has gone out. So there is my sales quote for my 2 pieces, and that was all done. So it actually uses the documents. It's got all of that. It's all built in. That would be my layout and everything else. So that's a very, very quick overview of the sales order agent. So that's the sales order agent. So in terms of the future and things that are coming right away, The payables agent is going to be in release 2 this year, and this just gives you an overview of the types of things that the payables agent is going to be able to do. So it's actually looking at invoices, it's creating drafts, it's actually processing all of those, finalizing those, all with user intervention and actually going through to a posted invoice. Now you can argue that you say, well, okay, there are really good solutions like continued document capture that does OCR and workflow and everything else. Absolutely agree. However, in this case, this is using a much wider AI capability to automate that process of actually bringing it in, looking at things like fraud, looking at things like other features that are there, and actually applying some more intelligence over and above that. We may well see that these ISV providers start factoring in AI and Copilot as well to match that. This is going to be particularly interesting to see how this process is. But the other point that is in terms of the future, where will we end up? And now this is my point about Copilot, using natural language, everything being an agent potentially, being able to go actually and say, right, I want to create a process and I'm going to describe that in natural language, and actually AI will and large language models will understand that and create that in the background. We're already seeing that in terms of GitHub, which is a programming repository, or Power Automate, where you're able to describe workflows in English and it will actually generate those. So the user interface will change and users will no longer be doing manual entry, manual details. They'll be able to focus in on elements that are particularly relevant and actually using their intelligence, their brain much more. So that wraps up our webinar for today. Hopefully you found this useful. If you'd like to deep dive into any of these things, if you're looking to set things up, you're looking to explore sales order agents in particular, that's available, as I said, from April in terms of your preview, then do get in touch and we can spend some time with you. And I would just like to thank you for your attention, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you. Bye.